What an incredible, easy meal to pull together. I talked about this before, and I don't know about you, but I often find it to be a struggle to locate a decent lunch if I don't have leftovers. And outside of being super easy to pull together, this Buffalo Chickpea Wrap is packed with a lot of flavor and a lot of protein. So let's get into the options you have around creating this deliciousness. So the tools you need is a knife and a food processor, and obviously a baby whisk, which is needed in any recipe, regardless if you need to whisk or not, because everyone needs to take a little whisk in their life. Okay, you see what I did there? I promise that's it for the dad jokes. Maybe. For this recipe, if you don't have a food processor, you could use like a potato masher or a fork to get those chickpeas right where you need them to be. But no food processor means you need to chop your ingredients manually to the desired size. And everything would most likely get mixed into like a large bowl. Speaking of chopping, since you're using a food processor, just a little rough chop will get the job done. Although certain ingredients you do want to spend a little bit of time around, this way it doesn't wedge itself between the food processor blade. So like celery, onions, this is personal opinion, but recipes to me taste better when they have a good mouthfeel. My folks who like chunky soup, you know what I'm talking about. So layering textures in this recipe is going to give us that. So the added walnuts in here is gonna help with that, but also notice how I keep about 1/3 the chickpeas whole and outside of the food processor, so I can toss them in later, and that's gonna help with that textured mouthfeel as well. I wanted to point this out as these aren't required things to do, just things that I think help it go just a little bit further. But basically, we're getting everything into that food processor and we are letting it rip. I'm talking about letting the food processor rip, just to preserve any confusion around anything else. I have kids, so they know how to turn my words a bit more interesting than, intended. A question I get often in food processor recipes when it comes to chickpeas is about over pulsing the ingredients by accident. And let me just say, unless you have like a blender type of food processor, this is gonna be really hard to accidentally over pulse. So pretty much just take your time and literally just hit the button a few times and review it after each pulse. If you're not a chickpea fan, I wanted to throw out there, you could also do this with lentils, but I wouldn't try any other kind of bean or pulse or anything, because things might get messy. For our buffalo dressing, you can use brown sugar, date sugar, coconut sugar, or no sugar. Regardless of what you choose, do a sugar with a little bit of, how do I say this? Like a rustic flavoring, almost kind of like burnt flavoring. If you know how like brown sugar or maple syrup is made, you kind of get the idea of what I'm saying. Speaking of maple syrup, that would be phenomenal in here. As for the mayo, you could do something like a sour cream or a yogurt as a swap for it, but you want something with a little bit of like tang to it and sourness. So don't do anything like a sweet yogurt. Outside of that, if you really want to mix things up, you could actually substitute the hot sauce and put in something like a barbecue sauce instead. And for the seasonings, instead of normal paprika, go with like a smoked paprika. And this wrap would have just turned into like a whole backyard barbecue type deal. And if you're a little bit of a spice chicken, you can add some avocado into your wrap. Now, every time you take a bite, that fat will cool your tongue a bit and make it more enjoyable. And you could obviously just add a little less hot sauce. That's it for this one. The full recipe can be found linked in the description or at my website, makeyourdairyrefree.com. Looking for some more recipe ideas? Check out one of my last videos. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, believe in good. Peace.